medical school social life?
I think depending on where you go, it's very like work hard, play hard. And so I don't know. It's like the stereotype that like people are nerdy or like jocks or like popular. In medical school, everyone's a nerd. Like, 'cause, I mean, they got there from a lot of studying, and so it's just kind of funny watching like all these people just like geek out over very common things or like have a big party together. I mean, medical students are just like normal people too, obviously. So it's just kind of funny when you mentioned that. But yeah, I met Anthony, my significant other, at a medical school party. So definitely lots of fun social things that could happen. Yeah.
Nice. So the second word, video games.
I think video games get a bad rap. Like, outside of, like, actually the people who play them, like, people are just like, oh, you're just wasting your time on video games. But I think they're great. I think one of my co-residents told me, actually, that he was trying to do a procedure. And they're like, oh, do you play video games? And he's like, no. And they're like, oh, you should, because it helps with some of these procedures. Yeah. So I think video games are good. You can't just spend all of your time playing video games, but they're definitely, fun.
Yeah, I know you're a great fan. So, what is your favorite one?
Ooh.
In video games.
I think it depends on what mood I am. Animal Crossing was probably one of my like long time favorite ones. But if you're looking for like a good story and good art, The World Ends With You. It's by Square Enix, so the same people who make like Kingdom Hearts and whatnot.
Anime.
I used to be bigger into anime when I was littler, but not as much now. Although I am trying to watch the new ones, but I haven't been getting through them because I just don't have as much time.
Okay, tell us 2-3 animes that you loved so far.
I mean, Death Note is a classic. Ouran High School Host Club was always like my childhood favorite. It's kind of funny, a little bit cuter. And then more recently, I've been watching Spy Family, which I'm not a big fan of slice of the life, but it's a pretty cute anime.
Anesthesiology.
Good field. Everyone should go into it. Yeah. We need more anesthesiologists.
Okay, the next question. What is the most precious and valuable thing you have in your life?
I think probably my support system. Yeah. Not many people realize like how valuable a support system is. I think growing up, I've dealt with some hardships, and that if I didn't have my support system around me, I probably wouldn't have gone as far as I have gotten. And I think also, mentorship is something that's like really good. Mentorship is so hard to come by that I definitely wouldn't have gotten as far as I did without them.
Could you compare your pre-med life with your medical life? In case of challenges, exams, hardships you had?
Yeah, I think people say that as you go on, things get easier. In certain ways, things do. In certain ways, things don't. And so pre-med, I remember like kind of feeling dissatisfied because I didn't have a lot of context for things. I felt like I was very like helpless. Like I couldn't do a lot of things on my own. I didn't know how a lot of things worked. And I didn't feel like I was really directly impacting the healthcare of my patients. Although I probably did have some small impact, it's definitely more now during residency as compared to like the pre-med life. Also during pre-med, it's just like a lot of uncertainty about like what's going to happen in my future. And I still have uncertainties now, but definitely more as a pre-med. It's hard being a pre-med. It gets more competitive every single year.
So what is the biggest stereotype about medical students?
But they just study a bunch, which is partially true. I feel like, yeah, they study a bunch. I think some residents think that medical students are always there's a stereotype of like a gunner medical student, one that's always like, brown nosing and like asking, oh, is there anything else I can do to help, and like pushing other medical students aside and being really selfish and being like, oh, I'll take this opportunity. Don't be like those. Don't be like those people. Most medical students are just normal people, though. Yeah.
So how many hours do you sleep and do you study?
It depends on the week. This past week, I've been averaging around 6.5 hours a week, or a day. Sorry, not a week. A day or a night of sleep. I try to get like a good 7 hours of sleep a night, and I think I'm one of the odd ones. And then studying, they actually ask us this to like fill out on our like monthly check-ins or whatever. And I say that I study about 20 hours a week, but I honestly don't have a good idea of how much I actually study. Probably a lot, but not as much as I did last year.
I've seen some students study more than 15 hours a day.
Oh, okay.
That's
Yeah, I think
that's not the thing.
when you have like a very big exam coming up, you'll hunker down and study a lot more. Like for the very first board exam for medical students called Step 1, we all made a study schedule. And so you'd have like hour 1, wake up, hour 2, eat breakfast, hour 3, study, hour 4, study, hour 5, study, hour 6, that kind of thing. And it goes all the way down until you go to sleep again. And so during that time, I was actually, studying about 15 hours or more a week, or a day, not a week.
Gosh.
But I had nothing else to do but study. So
Okay, cool. So you have a lot of memorization in medical field. Did you use any special tricks or techniques to make that memorization easy?
so contextualizing everything, I think it's important to recognize that the things you learn, if they don't have a direct impact and if you're not seeing it every single day, it's not going to stick as better. And so like when I have a patient with X, Y, and Z, I try to look more into it and I try to place that association with that person and kind of get that feedback back. In addition to that, there's also like practice questions are very important. We should probably do those, as well as like spaced repetition. So things like Anki, it's a very popular like flashcard tool that uses spaced repetition to help quiz back things. I'm personally never really liked Anki, but I still do it anyways because it does help. Yeah.
So what advice would you give someone who interested to get into medical school?
I think the best piece of advice that I got when I was shadowing was probably to be present. And at the time I was just like, okay, yeah, I'm here. Like I know how to be present, but it's not just like being there, but that can also honestly be one of the hardest things to do. It's just like going out there, putting yourself out there, because you're not going to make connections. And I didn't really make connections until I got out of that bubble of being like, oh, I don't really know what's happening. And so being present, not just being there, but also being aware and like taking little pieces and trying to synergize them to like really broaden your own knowledge and perspective. Yeah, don't just be like spacing out during a surgery, like actually be there and be focusing on what's happening.
And what resources do you recommend? It can be book, movies, anything that influenced you.
Don't put too much stock into Grey's Anatomy. All my patients are like, oh, this isn't like Grey's Anatomy. I'm like, it's not. I actually watched House growing up. And I watched Scrubs during like medical school. Not very accurate, but it was kind of fun. I don't know. I don't really have any good like common social media type of like books, movies, or TV shows. House of God, I think you should read after at least your intern year. So don't read that too early.
What do you look forward to in the future, either personally or professionally?
I think personally, I look forward to hopefully moving out of Dallas and exploring a different city. Professionally, I look forward to, becoming a critical care physician. I think that'll be something really exciting. Actually getting back in the ICU. I'll be starting off at the ICU next month, actually. And so I look forward to kind of like getting back into that jam and not just the anesthesia side of things.